Edward stopped the man at once. "Are you the one who groped my girlfriend?" "So what if I was?" The man seemed nothing but righteous. Edward roared, "Well, I think you've got a death wish." Edward approached the guy and threw a punch in his face. Frank saw that as the perfect moment to get on Edward's good side, and followed suit with a harsh beating. The man could not fight back on his own against two people, and curled up on the floor in a heap as he shouted in pain. Just then Edward said coldly, "That's what you get for touching my girl, you piece of shit." "Learn some manners, would you?" Cindy added. They then left smugly. The man got to his feet slowly. He stared as the three of them entered their room, gritting his teeth as he cursed. "Just you wait, motherfuckers." Upon saying so, the man stormed back to his room. The man who was in room 888, in which over 10 people were drinking and singing their hearts out. In the middle of the room sat a man in his 30s with a girl in each arm. There were a few burly men standing behind him with their hands behind their back. There were also a few other men and women in the room, including the manager, Steve. The man from earlier sat down angrily, cursing to himself. Steve saw that and waved to stop the music. "What happened, Mr. Sage?" "I just got fucking beaten up. That's what happened," Mr. Sage responded. Steve was taken aback. "What? Someone had the nerves to cause trouble here?" "I would have hung them out to dry if this happened in my hometown," Mr. Sage grumbled. The man's name was Sammy Sage, one of the gold miners from West Hill, with quite a reputation to his name. He was not to be messed with as well, and had been responsible for a life or two in his fight for a gold mine. He had gotten rather rich in the past few years, and was now entering the city to make it big. He had gotten in touch with Will Tarrant through someone else, knowing that Will was someone with a plethora of connections in Seachertown. The two had met up to talk about working together. However, he was already beaten up before the deal was even completed. If that had happened in West Hill, he would have had a culprit fed to the dogs before the next morning. Just then Will Tarrant, the man who had been sitting in the middle of the room, frowned. "Why did that happen?" Sammy took a swig of whiskey before describing what had just happened. "Mr. Tarrant, I know you run things here in Seachertown. I just got beaten up. If you don't do something about this, I will." Will was furious too when he heard that. Sammy was a cash cow placed right before Will's eyes, and the conditions for them to work together were also enticing. It was only natural for him to stand up for Sammy after he had just been beaten up. Will said at once, "Did you see who the culprit was, or which room they went into?" "They're eating in the moonlight room, those fuckers." Sammy fumed. Steve frowned and turned to look at Will. Will said, "What's the matter? Do you know anyone there?" "It's the Western District Manager's son, Edward Channing. He's having dinner with some friends here," Steve said. Will sneered. "Fucking hell. How dare a mere district manager's son dare to act out in my territory? Does he have a death wish?" Just then Sammy said, "Mr. Tarrant, it's fine if they're not someone you can afford to offend." The words were obviously said to fan the flames burning within Will.